go with abstraction, and later we'll go for encapsulation. So, what do you mean by data abstraction? What is the basic definition of this abstraction? Abstraction is nothing but, of course, this data abstraction is there in other languages also. In Java also, this is there. Abstraction means, the meaning of the abstraction is we are going to have using something without knowing how it is implemented. Okay. So I'll define data abstraction is nothing but using the concept without knowing the implementation details. Without knowing the implementation details. Okay. So how this is relating with object-oriented programming concept? So, and what is the main intention of this data abstraction? So data abstraction is nothing but just we are trying to use something, but we don't know how it is going to be implemented. So I'll give some example. For example, you are using so many services in your ATM. Okay. So in ATM machine, you are working with so many functionalities, right? So you can click on balance, you can click on mini statement, you can click on withdrawal. So you will work on different options, but you don't know how it is working actually, how it is internal details. So we can say, so what is the meaning of implementation details? Implementation details means how it is implemented, how it is working. Okay, internally, we don't know the logic behind it. Okay, so blindly we are using something. For example, if you are using a phone, if you are using some phone, okay, you are working with different options, right? But actually, whenever you are working with a particular option, for example, let's say you are working with a screen recording option. Okay, so you click on that button, screen recording, and your screen is recording, but you don't know how it is happening. What is the internal logic behind your screen recording, or what is the internal logic behind your voice recording, or what is the internal logic behind your for example, you are connecting to Wi-Fi, or you are connecting to some other devices, you are connecting to Bluetooth, or you are connecting to some other devices, but you don't know how it is going to be implemented, how exactly it is working. We don't know. That is what we can call it as abstraction. So here the main concept in object-oriented programming is data hiding. So what is the meaning of data hiding? Data hiding is nothing but, for example, I told you in my previous classes, if you are using the concept of inheritance, for example, in inheritance, we will access the details of parent class. Okay, so child class is going to access the details of parent class, but actually we don't know how it is going to be implemented. Like, for example, one more example, if you know C language, okay, in C language, what we'll do, we are trying to access so many header files. For example, if I want to work with the strings, if you want to work with the strings, then I can access header file hash include string.h. Okay, but anybody knows how that string.h header file is implemented. Okay, what is the code behind that string.h? No one knows. Simply we can include that string.h and we can access some functions in that string.h header file, but no one knows how it's going to be implemented. Okay, so that is what, without knowing the internal details, without knowing the implementation part, if you are trying to use something, okay, that is what we can call it as abstraction. So here abstraction, the main concept of abstraction is nothing but data hiding. Okay, so data hiding. It is going to hide the details. It's going to hide the details so that you can access it, but you don't know how it is going to work. For example, uh, as I mentioned, you are accessing some header file. You are accessing some header file, string.h header file. You don't know how it is implemented, but you are able to access, and you are going to complete your work. You can perform different types of operations on strings. If you want to work with strings, you are going to use the string.h header file. In that string.h header file, you can call so many functions, but actually you don't know how many functions are there in string.h. In detailed details, you are not aware. Only you know the, okay, you know the brief, how to use. Okay, you can know, but how it is implemented, how it is going to be implemented, no one knows. Okay, you can take any example. You are working with some Facebook, or you are working with some okay, other social networking website. You are working with WhatsApp. You are always you are using all the features of WhatsApp or all the features of Facebook. Can anyone know in which language this functionality is implemented? For example, you are uploading some video in Facebook, or you are uploading some video in some WhatsApp, or you are uploading some image in WhatsApp. So how that functionality is going to be written, how that functionality is going to work? Are they used any programming language? Are they used any other languages? Which type of technique is behind that functionality? No one knows. That is what the concept of abstraction. Okay, so that is the main concept. If that's why, if you talk about any class, let me give some simple example. For example, I have a class A. So in this class, I have some function. So f1 is my function. So in this f1 function, I have some code. Okay, I'll add some statements here. So now class P is there. Class P. So I have one more function for class B. So I have some statements for this function, and like that I have one more class C. Okay, so now I have one more function for class C. So now, okay, now this program is having three different classes: class A, class B, class C. Okay, so class A is having some function f1, and the class B is having some function f2, and the class C is having some function f3. So am I able to access class B in class A, or am I able to access class C in class B? That is not possible. For example, maybe it is possible if you are going to use a concept of inheritance. If, for example, if I return something like B is derived from A, then B is derived from A means I can access entire A information in class B. But here I am not using any inheritance concept. I'm not using any inheritance concept. I clearly defined all the classes separately. Okay, there is no relationship between A, B, and AC, and as well as BC also. They are independent. Okay, so if we are going to if we are going to have independent classes, okay, A is independent, B is independent, C is independent, then definitely A doesn't know what is there in B, and B doesn't know what is there in C. So this is what we can call it as hiding, data hiding. So A is hiding its details from B, and B is hiding its details from A and as well as from C, and C is hiding its details from B and A. So this is a simple example for data abstraction. So here what class A is doing? Is hiding Class A is hiding its implementation details from class B. Similarly, class class B. Similarly, class B is hiding its implementation details from other classes. So this is what the abstraction is all about. Simply hiding the implementation details so that no one knows what is the logic in class B and what is the logic in class A. So class A is independent of class B and class B is independent of class C. So every class is independent. So that's why I am unable to access. Let me give some small example so that you can understand how it's going to be implemented. This data abstraction part. So how this data abstraction is going to be implemented? Let me. So far in inheritance, what we see, inheritance is nothing but it is purely dependent. Okay, so class B is depending on A, or class B is derived from A, class C is derived from B. So there is a relation. What is the relation? It's a parent-child relation, or it may be grandparent-parent relation, or it may be, okay, some relationship is there. So that's why if I am having some relationship, then obviously I can access the details of other class. If there is no relationship, then obviously I can't access. So let me give some example here. Class student. So I have this class student. So in this class student, I have some function f1. So in this function f1, I can write some logic here. Print this is student class. Similarly, I can create one more class, EMP class, employee. In an EMP class, I have a function f2. Okay, in this class, I'll have some logic. I'll have some statement. This is EMP class. Okay, so now, okay, so similarly, I can create one more class. The class name is book. In this class book, I'll have one more function f3. So now, if you see here, these three are independent classes. So I didn't have any inheritance. I am not using any inheritance because they are not at all related. Student is different class, employee is different class, and book is different class. There is no relationship between this student, employee, and book. These three are independent. So now I'll try to access the information of this is book class. Okay. So now I'll create a main program. Now I'll try to access employee information with the help of student class. Let me check whether it is possible or not. I'll create an object for student class. S is the object for the student class. S is the object for the student class. With this S, I can access first function s dot f1. And similarly, with this S only, I can try to access. I'll try to access f2. Okay, so f2 is actually it is a function which is not known to student class. Okay, because it is implemented in employee class. Okay, so but what I'm doing here, I'm trying to access this function F2 or method F2, which is available in employee class. And let's see. And can anyone guess what is the output of this program? Anyone guess what is the output of this program? Please respond in the chat box. Anyone guess what is the output of this program? Please respond with your answers. What is the output of this program? Please respond. What is the output of this program? I'll show you this program. Yeah. Respond with your answers. What is the output of this program? Actually, this is simple example for data abstraction. Error. Why error? Why will get error? Remaining students, please respond. According to you, what might be the output of this program? Attribute error. Which attribute? Student. Yeah. Any other answers? So actually, what I am trying to do here, what I am trying to do in this program, I am trying to access the information. I am trying to access the information of a class by using some other class. So this is nothing but actually it is invalid because there is no relationship between student and employee class. But what I'm doing here, I'm trying to access the information of an employee class with the help of student object. Okay, this is very similar to accessing the system of a faculty by student. Okay, for example, let's say I'll have my system. Okay, so my system is having some password. I am going to keep some password for my system. Some student is trying to access my system. Okay, so is it legal? Is it valid? It's not legal, right? So that is what we can call it as abstraction, because I am supposed to hide the password. I'm supposed to hide the information. I'm supposed to hide the details. Okay, but what the student is trying? Student is trying to access the information. Or student is trying to know the details of my system, or is trying to access the information of my system. This is not legal. That is what we can call it as data abstraction. So that's why we are going to get error for this. Okay, for s dot f2 we'll get an error. For s dot f1 we can access this. We can, because it belongs to the same class. We can access the information of a student class with the object of student class, but we are unable to access the information of employee class with the object of student class. I'll save this program. Data abstraction.py. Okay, so now this is the error, attribute error. Student object has no attribute f2. Okay, so what is the meaning of this? Student object has no attribute f2. Did you mean f1? What is the meaning of this? So the meaning of this line is we are not having any access. Okay, we are not having any right to get the details of employee class, as f2 is belongs to employee class, but we are trying to access with the help of student class. This is actually not legal. So that's why we are getting an error. Okay, because student is a separate class, employee is a separate class. Student is having its own implementation, employee is having its own implementation. The implementation of employee is hidden, and the implementation of book is also hidden, and the implementation of student is also hidden. Okay, they're not going to share the implementations to other classes. When they are going to share the implementation to other classes, in which scenario we can access, or in which scenario they will share the implementation details? Anyone tell me in which scenario they will share the implementation details? What might be the scenario? Class A is going to share its implementation details to class B. Our class student is going to share the implementation details to class employee or class book. In which scenario the implementation details can be shared? Yes, in inheritance they will be shared, because if there is a dependency, if there is a relationship, then only they will share the implementation details. If there is no dependency, or if there is no relationship, then obviously they won't share the details, right? So this is what abstraction. Simply they are hiding its details, so that other people are not going to access the details, because these details are not accessible. This is what data abstraction. And next topic, the next object oriented programming concept is nothing but data encapsulation. What is the meaning of encapsulation? Encapsulation is nothing but simply it's packing. Okay, in medical terminology, there is a word called capsule. Capsule. Okay. Anyone knows what is the meaning of this word capsule? This is actually in medical. Actually, this is a medical word, capsule. Somewhat similar to tablet. Okay. It's not purely tablet, but okay, there are some similarities between a tablet and a capsule. Anyone knows what is the meaning of this word, capsule? Capsule. Tablet is different and capsule is different. Of course, there are some similarities, but what do you understand by the word capsule? Because encapsulation is nothing but just packing. Encapsulation is nothing but packing the data and methods in a single unit. So what is the meaning of this? Packing the data and methods in a single unit. Packing or wrapping up, or bundling. We are going to bundle the data and methods in a single unit. Okay. So what is the meaning of this encapsulation? Also in your medical prescription, they will use capsules. Capsules means it's look like very small object, very small piece of it's very small tablet. Okay, very small. Uh, it's a piece of tablet, we can say, and all these piece of tablets are going to be there in a single unit, and they will be packed. That is what we can call it as capsule. Here also, in encapsulation, we are going to combine the data and as well as the method. So let me give some example. What is the meaning of this packing up? Example, let's say I have a class A. In class A, I'll have some data, right? So I'll have some hall ticket number equals to some 100, and I'll have some name is equals to some ABC. and I have some function. Define function f1. So this is a function. Okay. And in this function, I can write some statements here. Now, if you see here, what is the definition of the class from this example? From this example, what is the definition of the class? Can I define class A? Class A is equals to packing of hall ticket number, comma name, hall ticket number, name, and the F1 method. So this is the definition I can give from this example. Okay, what is the definition I can give? I want to define class A. So what is class A? Class A is having some hall ticket number, and class A is having some name, and class A is having some function F1, right? So here class A I can define like class A is nothing but packing of hall ticket number, name, and F1. So here what is F1, what is hall ticket number, what is name? Hall ticket number and the name, this will be known as data or data members. Okay, hall ticket number is a variable, name is a variable. So hall ticket number is a variable, name is a variable. These two are known as data, and F1 is a method. So that is what I written here. Packing of these two, hall ticket number and name, is nothing but data, and F1 is a method. So that is what I given the definition. Packing the data and methods. This packing in some textbooks, maybe you'll find this word wrapping up the data and methods. Wrapping up the data and methods in a single unit. What is a single unit here? What is a single unit? Anyone knows what is the meaning of the single unit here? In this example, what is the meaning of single unit? Please respond. What is the meaning of single unit? Let me show the definition what I written for this example. Okay. This is the definition I given for this class. Class A is the class name, and data and methods are there. So what is data in this example? Hall ticket number is one variable and name is other variable, right? So hall ticket number is one variable and name is other variable. These two I can combinedly, I can call it as a data members or data or variable. All are same. Okay, don't confuse here. Data members is nothing but variables. Okay, now tell me, what is a single unit? My question is, what is the meaning of this last two words, single unit? You know what do you mean by data and method? Data is nothing but two variables in this example, and method is nothing but F1. And what is the meaning of this last two words, single unit? Anyone knows? Respond with your answers in the chat box. What is the meaning of the word single unit? If you understand this member in a class, okay, partially it is correct, but can you give some more clarity on your answer? Remaining students, please respond. 57 students are there, only one response I am getting. Only one response so far. Remaining students, whether your answer is correct or wrong, no problem. But you must respond. Everyone, please respond. I'm not going to give any marks if your answer is correct. Class A, members and methods in a class. So I hope all of you understood my question. First try to understand the question. What is the meaning of What is the meaning of this last two words, single unit? If you understand this single unit, then the definition of this encapsulation is very simple. Variable class A. Okay, Nirmal Valluri, almost your answer is correct only, but what do you mean by A, class A? What is A? Remaining students, you can respond with your answers. Because if you understand this example, then you can understand the concept. Variable object. Okay, so here class A is object. Okay, so let me explain. It's very simple actually. So now, coming back to this example. So hall ticket number, name, and this method F1. Okay, so here three separate objects are there. One is hall ticket number of the student. Let's say hall ticket number is 100, and name of the students. Let's say name of the student is ABC, and the function, one method F1. So I'm combining or I'm grouping these three things in a single unit. This is what I can call it as class. Okay, let me show you in Paint so that we can have more clarity. So here, this is what I can call it as wrapping up. Okay, so what I'm wrapping up? I'm wrapping up the data members. What is data member here? Hall ticket number. Hall ticket number is equals to 100. Next, name is equals to ABC. Next, method. I define some method F1, and I'll have some logic for this method, right? I'll have this. Okay, now this entire thing, okay, I written in a single unit. This single unit is nothing but a class. So that is the meaning of the last two words, single unit. What is a single unit here? Single unit is nothing but a class only. So class is nothing but it's going to wrap up the data members and the methods. So here this is a data member. Hall ticket number is a data member, and these two are data members. Hall ticket number is a data member and name is a data member. These two are data members, and this is a method. Of course, you may have more data members also, but in this example, I considered only two attributes of a student. The student is having hall ticket number and name, and you can take more methods also. I took only one method, F1. You may take someone F2, F3. You can take any other methods also. Simply combining or wrapping up or packing up. Okay, you can use any word as per your convenience. Okay, just I'm going to combine these data members and methods in a single unit. Okay, that is what we can call it as the concept of encapsulation. Is it clear? Any doubts? Any doubts? Please respond if anybody having any doubt. Because these concepts are very, very important. And these concepts are not only in Python. If you have Java, C++, in other programming languages also same concepts. Only the implementation is going to be varied. The syntax is going to be different, but the concept is same. Object this classes, objects, inheritance, polymorphism, data abstraction, encapsulation. All these concepts will be there in Java, C++, and in other programming languages also. Only the implementation details are going to be varied, as the syntax of Python is different from other languages. That is the only difference. But apart from this, the theoretical concept is same. So any doubt so far? All of you understood all object-oriented programming concepts starting from class, object, inheritance. We've seen different types of inheritances like single inheritance, multiple, multi-level, hybrid, hierarchical, with the different examples. And we've seen polymorphism. What do you mean by method overloading and method overriding? And is in what do you mean by data abstraction and encapsulation? Any doubts? Because these all are the new concepts, and maybe you heard new technical terms. These terms you maybe okay, not there in core Python. In core Python, actually, we didn't have these terms. All these are very new terms to you people. So that's why I am giving more and more examples. Almost it took 10 classes to cover this object-oriented programming concepts. So still, if anyone having any doubts, please let me know in the chat box. Starting from class, not only this abstraction encapsulation, whether if you have any doubt in class or object or any doubt, starting from object-oriented programming basics. If any doubts, please let me know in the chat box. You can type your queries in the chat box. Everyone must be familiar with these concepts, because tomorrow if you are going to appear for any interview, whether it is Java or C++ or Python, whatever it may be, the same concepts will be there. So that's why everyone must okay, should have very good knowledge on these concepts. No doubts. And everyone must know the implementation part also, not only knowing the theoretical part. You are in a position to explain with some example program. That's why I given actually. Okay. Can we call data abstraction as a data hiding? Actually, we are not supposed to call like that, but internally, the data abstraction is going to hide the details. The functionality of the data abstraction is, okay, it's going to hide the details from other classes. Okay.